Hey guys, welcome back to another video, and today we'll be looking into an inheritance reverse engineering problem. So in this problem, it's basically saying that write the R class so that the following code generates the output below. So public class test cars. So let's just look into the problem first and try to understand what's happening here. Okay, so we have a car class called test cars. Okay, so this is giving an error, which is rename the file. So I renamed it, and that's okay. Okay, now, so we have a method, which is a static method. So remember, static methods, they do not need any objects for them to be called from. They can be called using class name and print car detail, and that's all. Okay, so it's taking a parameter which is called car C. So car C is telling us that it gives or takes an parameter of an object which is of the car class. So that means we have to create a car class. Okay, so then we are printing C dot get here. So that car class would definitely have a method called get here. Okay, so which doesn't take any parameters. Okay, now we are printing on something else, which is get object count. So this is total number of cars. Okay, so whenever it's saying that total number of cars, that means we have to keep track of how many objects of the car class are we creating. So to keep track of that, we definitely need to have a static variable, because a static variable doesn't get initialized every time an object is created. So it gets initialized once and gets increased as we create more objects. Doesn't initialize every time. So that means we need a static variable. So a static variable, and we need a method that's called object count, which would return us that static variable. Okay, now in the main method we have total number of cars, car dot get object count. So see, it's calling get object count through the car class, not with an object but via car class. So that means this method would be a static method. It's similar to this one, where static void dot print car details. It's printing the car details without an object that doesn't call this method. It can be called on itself or with the class name. Similar, see here, like we can call this method print car detail without any creation of object. So like we don't have to say test cars a equals to new test cars and a dot print detail. We do not need that because it's a static method. Okay, so moving on, it's printing something, then we are creating two objects of the car class. So car class object, so it's taking a parameter which is like an integer value, right? So the constructor of car class would take parameter, so parameter, which is a type of integer. Okay, then we are calling the method. This is basically showing us that how many cars we have and the year, okay, of that car. So see, so this seems pretty easy. Now we have to create a car class. Okay, so let's just copy all of this things that we need to do, and we create a car class. Okay, finish. Then we need to do all of these things. Okay, so we have made the car class. Now we need, first we need the constructor. So car, which takes a parameter which is, let's say, year, and we need a variable called year. Okay, so this takes the parameter, so this dot year equals to year. Done. We have created the constructor that takes a parameter. Okay, so we need then a static variable. So we need a static variable. So int static int let's say count of cars, which is initially 0. And whenever we are creating a car, so whenever we are creating an object car, it would go to this constructor and it would assign the year and increase the count of cars by 1. Okay, then we need a get year variable method. So that method is being called with an object, so that doesn't need to be static. So public, does it return something? So yeah, returns the year. Okay, so it returns the year int get year, doesn't take any parameters, so it would just return year. Then we have to create another method, but this time this method would be a static one. And does it return something? Yes, it returns the number of cars. So for our case, which is count of cars. So the name is get object count. Doesn't take any parameters. So would be, no, it doesn't take any parameters. It returns a value, so that would be int. Now we would return count of cars. So we are all done with this one, and everything should look proper now. So print car detail, the constructor car. Now if we like run the whole class, we would see that if we run this, and it would give us this output. Initially we do not have any cars, but as we enter new cars, we increase the number of cars that we have. So this is the output that was asked of us, and this is how you do the reverse engineering of an inheritance code. And in the other videos we would try to look into more complex examples of this. So thank you.